Hi everyone and welcome to Okay Seriously with Natasha. I am your host, Natasha Jameson. I have a returning guest on the show today, my friend, founder of Health SHEro, Charlotte Caunter. She is a transformative burnout specialist, a speaker, author, cancer survivor, and a master manifester. We love her so much that we wanted her to come back and share her incredible expertise and process on how to manifest our dreams. Welcome back, Charlotte. Charlotte is incredibly passionate about teaching people how to manifest, and we're going to find out why. Let's give our viewers a little background on why we're discussing this today.
Okay, well, I had a webinar on how to manifest and asked you to come on, which you did.
And I loved it. It was amazing.
Oh, thank you.
You're absolutely incredible.
Oh, thank you.
I was captivated by every word.
Oh, I mean, honestly, I feel like they should be teaching us this in school.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah. So I'm super passionate about talking about this.
And they can actually, our viewers can actually go to your link and see it for themselves, right?
Yeah.
So we'll have all the information in the description below.
Amazing.
Absolutely. So we're going to start from the beginning. What is manifesting and what is it all about?
Well, manifesting is something that we're doing all the time.
Right.
We're constantly
Good, bad, or ugly.
Good, bad, or ugly. And that's the thing. We don't know when we're doing
Absolutely.
it. When we think we're manifesting, we're like, okay, I'm going to manifest my dreams and I'm going to, bring them into existence. But really it's creating anything and everything. We are creators. Yeah. And once you understand this process, now you can start tapping into creating what you want.
That's right.
Instead of creating what you don't want, which a lot of us tend to do.
By default,
By
right?
default.
Yeah, which is hard.
But
it's so hard.
It is.
So that's why I thought it was really important for us to talk about this subject today, because you made it so simple and so clear to me. I've never seen it explained in such like a way where I can understand it and other people can too. So I thought it was like I really connected with the energy because I always have an intention for the show.
Oh, so good.
So how can we begin to manifest our deepest desires?
Okay, so can I walk you through like 4 steps?
Please,
Yeah.
please,
So
yes.
Step number 1 is that you want to get crystal clear on what you want. And it's funny, like I work with, moms that are burning out. And a lot of times I'll ask them, like, if you had a magic wand, like, what would you want? What would you wish for? And a lot of people are like, okay, well, I know I don't want to be in this type of relationship. I know what I want to be in this type of career. And all we're doing is focusing on what we don't want. And but like you said, by default, that's what we do naturally. So it's really important to get super clear on what we want. So then some people might say, well, I want, $10 million. Okay, great. But why do you want that $10 million?
The why.
The why. Yes.
Okay.
And then breaking it down, like if you had $10 million, is how much is that going into maybe retirement? How much is that going into investment? Are you hiring people? Like where exactly are you going to be spending that $10 million? Right. Once you understand that, then you're going to start attracting that $10 million, right? But the point is you've got to get crystal clear on what you want. I remember...
And why you want it.
And why you want it. Yeah. I remember listening to like a Tony Robbins podcast, and this guy was like, I want, $10 million. And he was like, okay, great. Yeah. Or $100 million. And I was thinking, geez, 100. I was only thinking, I was only thinking 10. Yeah.
He got big plans.
He got big plans. Big plans. And then he was like, okay, what do you want? And he's like, well, I want my own private island. And of course, like Tony has all these numbers, right?
Yes,
so he's like, okay, if you wanted to own a private island, this is how much it would cost. Or do you want to like just, buy land? Or do you want one that's already established, that already has hydro and water and all that stuff? And he's like, oh, one that's already established. He's like, okay, great. And what else do you want? And he's like, well, I'd probably go there, 3 to 4 times a year. He's like, well, okay, so you could either rent it for this price, and rent from somebody else, or you could buy it and this is how much it would cost you. And he's like, well, no, that makes sense to just rent it. Yeah. And then, going into well, I want a private jet. Okay, well, why do you want a private jet? How many times are you going to use it? So that's really like break down your dreams, specifically how much do if it's money, how much do you want? Or if it's a career, why do you want that? Right. So get very specific.
Very, very clear and specific.
Yes, very clear. That's really important.
So that brings me to my next question. What are some of the common mistakes and misunderstandings people have about this process? Because there's a lot. Let's just face it. There's a lot.
I know there is.
I mean, there's so much information out there and they kind of contradict each other, some of them.
Yeah.
So let's just start there. Misunderstandings.
Well, one thing is like people think, okay, so now that I'm crystal clear, I want this new job or I want this new career, so I'm just going to wish for it and it's going to happen. And then it's like they wish for it and it's crickets. Like, that's right. I'm like, well, where is it? Why isn't it here yet? Yeah. But the thing is, we are manifesting 24/7, 365 days of the year. So if you're thinking in the morning like, oh man, it'd be so awesome to have this type of relationship, or so awesome to have this career, or this how much money I want, or this health. And then the rest of the day, you're like, oh God, I'm so unhealthy. Oh God, this pain. Oh, I hate my relationship. I hate my job. I hate this. I don't have any money. And if you're thinking for 23 hours of the day, how much what you don't want,
that's right.
That's the energy that's going out into the world.
That's right.
And that's what we're going to be attracting. So the key is that we are manifesting 24/7. So it's not just one thing in the morning.
Minutes.
Yeah. And then that brings us to step number 2. So get crystal clear.
Yeah.
And then number 2 is repetition. We have to repeat it as frequently and as much as we can.
That's right.
And this is where you want to really bring that energy. And a lot of people are like, okay, well, let me just think it. But you've got to feel it into existence. Feeling it is like stepping onto the gas, like in the car, like getting clear on what you want. Now you're in the car. But when you start repeating it, now you're stepping on the gas. Now we're getting to where you want to go. So you can repeat this through, you can take your phone and do like a voice memo. Like, I am so happy and grateful now that I'm a millionaire.
Yes.
You know, like
so there's
really
a feeling with that too.
Yes, like feel it. And when I write 7 dreams down every day in my journal.
Oh, I love it. We know about me and journals. We'll work on it.
We'll work on it. But I write 7 dreams every day. And as I'm going through these dreams, I'm visualizing it. I'm feeling it. Sometimes I have tears of joy. Sometimes I'm like dancing in my seat, but I'm feeling it as if it's already happened. And when you're like constantly repeating it, you can do this on a vision board, voice memo, journaling, writing it down.
Or vocally just saying it, right?
Vocally saying as much as you can. Yeah. Even like, when you're doing the dishes, like what, I
am the next Oprah.
I am the next Oprah. That's it. Yes. Like be that person as much as you can. You're going for a walk. I am a successful business owner. I am healthy. Like whatever it is, like every step you take, everything that you're doing, bring that. I'm washing my hair. This is how a millionaire washes their hair. Whatever it is you're trying to speak into existence, be it, become it as frequently as you can.
Right.
And when we do this, we're retraining our unconscious mind.
Right.
Because our conscious mind wants to block it. And it will say like, oh, you're cute. You want to be the next Oprah? Or you're cute. You want to be the next millionaire?
Right.
Like,
this
nice
is
try.
why you can't.
And it's like, boom, it blocks manifestation. But the more you see it and the more you feel it, now all of a sudden you're like, ooh, I think this is possible. I think I can do this. Yeah. And now you're retraining that unconscious mind to get what you want.
It's really, really important because I think it is a difference between just like verbally saying it, but when you add like the feeling and the repetition, I didn't realize how important repetition is. I mean, I felt like saying it once was good enough because some of the, the vast gurus out there will say that.
Yes.
But it makes sense that, you're just constantly like reiterating that to yourself that it's possible, it's feasible, it's doable. You have this, you got it. Like you're in that alignment.
Yes, exactly. Can I share a quick story on repetition? So 12 years ago, I went through cancer. And when I was going through, I hired a coach. I took tons of personal development, and everybody kept talking about this one week retreat, which was amazing. And I'm like, oh, amazing. How much is it? They're like, just call. And I'm like, oh, you guys are cute. I know it's expensive. Here it comes. So I called, and this guy, Peter, answers. And Peter and I were like best friends by the end of the call. Like, Peter, where have you been all my life? I love you. And I'm like, give it to me, buddy. Let me know how much this is. And he's like, it's $4,000. And I'm like, oh,
that's
sorry.
right.
Did you just say $4,000 for a week's retreat? I'm like, I just told you I'm on like long-term disability. There's no way I could afford that. He's like, Charlotte, stop. He's like, do you not think you're worth $4,000? And I'm like, F you, Peter.
Yeah, right?
Yes, I do.
He calls you on it.
With lots of love. I'm like, yes, I do feel I'm worth it. He's like, then your job is to go home and manifest it and put it on repeat. And I was like, okay. So I was writing it down. I was visualizing myself. It was in Calgary. So I was visualizing jumping on a plane and getting off and going to the retreat center and feeling how I'd feel afterwards, like feeling healthy and a sense of peace and really just owning it. And I had no clue. And I had 1 week to do this, okay? 1 week. I had no clue where this $4,000 was going to be pulled out of my bum somehow.
That's right. That's
no
right.
idea.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And then 3 days later, the school board where I was working called me and said, we've mispaid you since 2008. Here's $4,000.
That's manifesting at its finest. Holy cow.
But I brought that into everything. But the thing is, most people will do it like maybe 2-3 days in a row. And then it's like, it's not here. Because we're like, we order something on Amazon and we want it yesterday.
Oh, like this. like this. Yeah.
But it's consistent.
It's
Most people
consistent.
give up, but it's like if you can consistently do it as many times as you can during your break at work, at lunch, at night, in the morning, as you're showering, as we mentioned, and bringing it in as much as you can. Universe likes speed. So the more you do it, the more you'll see that. Yeah, manifestation.
So it's obvious to me why you're so passionate about manifesting and helping people manifest. Maybe share that with our viewers.
Yeah, well,
is it from personal experience, or is it just to help others? Are you called? I think it's all those things. Like just looking at you, knowing you.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, I feel like a lot of my life I manifested issues, and I was like, why me? Why is this happening to me?
Yes.
And I don't understand. And then once you start understanding the rules of manifestations, you're like, oh my goodness. Like, again, I remember after I finished going through cancer, somebody said like, well, how did you get to this point? And at this point, in the conventional world, everything's like looking for outside sources. Well, maybe it's your gene, maybe it's your family history, maybe it's, whatever. But once I turned inwards and said, well, what did I do, or what have I been doing to get to this point? And I was like, oh man, I was owning so many negative emotions. I owned being the victim. I owned being sick. There's a lot of things that I was owning to get to that point. And once I understood like how I was manifesting a lot of this. Now, I do believe that we are meant to go through certain difficulties in order to grow and for our soul or our consciousness to evolve and raise up our level of consciousness. But I also believe we have a lot of choice and free will. And during those choices and free will, I was manifesting a lot of issues. And once I understood it, I was like, why aren't we teaching this in school? We need to understand. Yeah. And I bring this into my daily life, even with my kids now. Like we're playing, crazy eights, and then I'm like, or go fish or something, right? And I'm, do you have a 5? No, I don't. And they're like, go fish. Like, oh man. I said, no, shift your energy. They're like, okay, please be a 5, please be a 5, please be a 5.
And it's a 5.
And of course I'm going, please just make it a 5. And they're like, it's a 5.
Cute. I love that.
So you bring it into your kids, like now, even though they don't teach us in school. Yes, you implement it and inspire your kids to do the same.
That's amazing. And I agree with you. I think it should be taught on like a lot of levels. And we should like have this as like a life skill and as a tool for us. Because it's really, really important. And a lot of people can shift like even their perception and just change the course of their lives. So let me ask you this. Why is it important to raise our vibration when manifesting?
Okay.
A lot of people don't understand why. Just say it and it's done. But we know now there's a lot to it.
We're energy. Like everything is energy. Yes. And when there's a higher level or hierarchy of emotions as well. This is where it's called like levels of consciousness. That's right. And this is from a book called Power versus Force by Dr. Stephen somebody. His name escapes me. Doesn't matter. Power versus Force. And the lowest levels of vibration, so the weakest form of emotions is shame, guilt, anger, sadness, grief, like grieving our old life before everything happened, 2 years ago, things like that. All that's very low levels of vibrational energy. And it's not like woo-woo, like this is stuff that you can measure.
Yeah, absolutely. Lack mentality.
Yes, and you can, that's very contracting energy. So if I'm saying like, okay, I want a new career. It's like, well, nothing's happening. Why isn't anything happening? It's like, you've got no like gas. You've got no pep in your stuff. No energy is going out. Right. So the better that you feel, and this is done through like sleeping, through exercising, through eating properly, through, hobbies that light you up, that make you feel good. And the more that you feel good, it's going to be a very expansive energy. And with that, then you're able to attract a hell of a lot more than you could when you're in those low vibe energies.
You almost become in alignment with that vibration that you're seeking. So you cannot, it doesn't matter how much you want it, but if you're not on the same vibrational level, you miss it. Yes. You can't get it.
Yes. It's like if I'm feeling angry or resentful, like my family's like, let's jump in a car and go across, Canada. Let's do a drive through Canada. And I'm like, oh God, I don't want to go. And I'm angry and resentful. And now I'm getting in. And then maybe it's like constant problems. Maybe we run out of gas. Tire pops. We're getting every red light, or we're getting pulled over by the police. Yeah. And then as I start to feel good, now I'm laughing. I'm listening to music that I like in the car. I'm joking around. I'm going with the flow now. Now I'm in a happy state. And now it's like, okay, green light. Yeah. You get an amazing deal. Yeah, it's crazy what you can attract when you're vibing high.
I love it. I love high vibes only, please.
High vibes only. Yeah.
In what way can we speed up our acceleration or accelerate our ability to align with what we want? We talked about it a little bit earlier, but let's make it super clear and simple for people.
Yeah. So getting clear on what you want, putting it on repeat, and then increasing your vitality. And last one is like taking guided action. So guided action is absolutely key. Like that's the difference between like wishful thinking, like, ooh, this would be so nice if this happened, to attracting and manifesting what you want. And that's through guided action. So I always like telling people like the attention span of...
I love that, because that was a light bulb moment for me.
Yeah. Of a goldfish is 9 seconds. And for humans, it's 5 seconds. Like we have a less of attention span than goldfish. So if you have, say you want to be the next Oprah, and somebody says, hey, I know somebody, you know, at CTV or whatever, and you should really talk to her. I'm like, oh, sure. Can I get her number? Yeah, here's her number. And you're like, okay, awesome. Like, I'll call her.
Crickets.
Yeah. And then you're waiting. You're like, oh gosh, should I call her? I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, hey mom, like what's for dinner tonight? I don't know. I guess I'll make this. And it's like, boom, it's gone. Yeah. So really important to take guided action. I remember I wrote a children's book called Thank You, Mother Nature. I was out in nature and I was like, oh my goodness, look at all the lessons that we can learn from nature. And this is right after I had my daughter. And then when I had my son, I was like, you know, this is pretty good. I think I should try and like get this published or, and I put it out on Facebook. Hey, anybody know any publishers? And again, the crickets came out and I was like, okay. And then I was at a barbecue, completely inconvenient, like at a family's friend's barbecue at a party. And, you know, my daughter's just over a year. My son's like 6 months old, like had them back to back. So, you know, my hands are full,
busy. Very busy mom.
trying to chase them, trying to eat them and breastfeeding and whatever else. And a thought popped into my head saying, hey, you worked with this guy, you know, 10 years ago. And he mentioned in a passing conversation that his sister was a publisher. Like, you know, call him. So I could have waited until, you know, the barbecue was finished, until my kids were older or, you know, whatever that was. But I messaged him right away saying, hey, is your sister still in that world? Yeah. And then he gave me the contact information. And again, the moment I got it, you know, reached out to her right away. And she's like, I'm not taking on anybody new, but send your stuff over and maybe I'll look at it. And she ended up, you know, picking it up. But it's like, you've got to act on that guided action. When you have that inspired thought.
That was the key thing for me. The second you have something, write it down if you're going to be busy for like the next 15 minutes or something, but like jump on it. Don't like let it, because it could be total divine guidance, really. You aligning with something greater than yourself.
Yes, exactly.
So I love that. That was like a key thing for me in your webinar. It was amazing.
So good.
At what point in a manifestation process is getting clear about what we want essential? Well, like where in that process, like from the get-go, in the middle, once you've accomplished something, like where is it?
Great question. So I think right in the beginning, like first things first. And I think a lot of times people get caught up like, well, how is this going to happen? Like, okay, well, I have no clue. Like, I don't know anybody at CTV. I don't know anybody, you know, who can, you know, connect me with this person, or I have no clue how that happens. But when you're getting crystal clear on what you want, that's not the time to think about the how. The how is going to slow down that manifestation. So get crystal clear on what you want, why you want it. So we're connecting to that higher frequency, right? And let go of the how. Even if you don't believe it, even if you think, well, that's a nice idea, but I don't know how that's going to happen. That's okay.
It doesn't matter.
Just get clear on it. Keep repeating it, and then belief will happen.
And feel it.
Yes.
Feel it. So how do we create space for dreaming? Because that's very necessary. How can we do that?
Yeah, great question. So again, like a lot of times people focus on what they don't want, and it's very hard because sometimes people are like, I have been, you know, in my job, in my relationship, you know, struggling with finances for so long. I have no clue how to feel good anymore. I don't even know how to dream anymore. So you will not find clarity when you're feeling stressed, anxious, depressed, grieving. Like you won't find clarity. So the first thing you need to do is to feel good, increase that vitality, you know, put on music, have a dance party, go spend some time in nature, talk to a friend, hire a coach, like do whatever you need to do to feel good again. Once you feel good, once you create that sense of like peace for yourself and you feel calm in your heart again, clarity will come. Then all of a sudden the answers were coming. You're like, okay, well, I knew door one, like I could have, you know, I could quit my job, you know, and maybe that's like door number one. But then when you create, you know, peace for yourself, you're like, oh my goodness, I could go for this position, or I know this friend in the same industry and I could go there. And all of a sudden these other doors start opening because you've created that sense of peace for yourself.
Peace is so important.
Yeah.
I never realized how much until like I've been in those. We all have.
Yes.
We all have. Who are we kidding? You know, you're a wife, you're like got kids, you have like a job, careers, everything. You're trying to be the next Oprah. Jesus, it's hard. It's a shit show. Yeah. I don't know. But creating like that inner peace, just with myself, like self-love has been like a huge thing for me. It was a game changer. So when you said that like in your webinar, it really, really connected with me. I'm telling you, you have to, we're going to link it below. You have to watch her webinar. It's phenomenal. It will change the scope of your life. I guarantee it.
Oh, thank you.
So let me ask you about insight, inspired action. How do we explain this to clients? What does it look like?
Yeah.
Is it something that's like a really huge step? Is it something that, you just write down? Do you meditate on it? Do you wait on it? Like, I know we talked a little bit about this, but let's tell them exactly how to do this.
Yeah. So again, like when you're making, like, say, for example, you're in banking and you're like, well, I've always dreamed about becoming a real estate agent. That can be a huge, really overwhelming step, right? Yes. I don't even know where to do. I don't know where to go. So whenever you have that big dream, break it down into smaller steps. And so maybe you call a friend who's a real estate agent. Hey, like, do you mind if I ask you a few different questions about, the industry and how you find it and the realistic, like how much am I going to get paid and when do I get paid and how hard it is and whatever. So ask those difficult questions and then get clear on what you need to invest. Like, how much is it to get my license? How much is it for advertising? How much is it for my own website or whatever that is? So just break it down into like baby steps. But every time you think, oh, this would be really good to know, like write it down. Write it down in your list and then just start tackling step by step on what to do.
Little small steps.
Yes.
So that you're not overwhelmed and you keep your peace.
Exactly. And like you said, when you create that sense of peace, clarity will come. So even though you have your to-do list, maybe when you're driving and maybe you're singing in your car and I was just listening to Christmas music on the way here and it's so funny.
I love that.
That's like one of my happy places. I'm listening to it, I'm singing, whatever. And then like creative ideas are coming to you. I'm like, oh, great. So when those creative ideas come to you, like again, add that to your to-do list because that is like divine intervention. You're getting that from higher frequency. I feel like that's true too. I have, come to kind of recognize that as well. Yeah. And I don't let those moments pass. No. Because I never told you, but after your webinar, I manifested something that I really wanted in 2 days. So, I love it.
Now, not everything that I've wanted has but it's like divine timing too. Yes. So I just aligning with it and I'm flowing with it. I'm learning. See, I'm not journaling yet, but you've got me in other ways. Okay. I don't know. I think we're leveling up here. Speaking on that, when we were taking our life to the next level, we were talking about somebody that's interested in a total different career change. Fear can pop up. Okay, that is a huge thing. Yes. What's the difference between fear and courage? Because you could be fearful of something but still be courageous enough to tackle it. I think
that's true. That's exactly it. Like fear, when we are scared, that's going to equal inaction. We are going to be paralyzed in fear and we're not going to do anything about it. Like, well, I can't call this person or I don't want to do that or even look at that because there's no way I would get that. Courage is still feeling that fear and moving forward. So say your life is like a hot tub and you're in this nice, like warm, cozy hot tub. This comfort zone. Nice comfort zone. I know.
Comfort
where
zone.
Magic dies. Yeah.
Exactly. Oh my God, exactly. Where magic dies.
Yeah. So you're in the hot tub, you're feeling good. And then someone's like, hey, want to start a new career or you want to start a new business? Let's jump in the pool. And you're like, that'd probably be pretty fun. Let's jump in the pool. So you jump in the pool. Now, I don't care how hot that the pool is, it's going to be freezing compared to that hot tub, right? Of course. So you're in this nice, warm, hot tub, you jump into that pool and it is freezing. And the first thing you do when you're in that, the pool, you're like, oh my God, what was I thinking? There's no way I can do this. Why am I even here? Self-doubt. And I would say like majority of people are going to jump out of that pool and go running back to that hot tub. But when you stay in the pool, if the pool is freezing, all you need to do is start moving around. You start taking small little steps. Let me just call this person. Let me just research this. Yes. Let me just figure out how much I need. And then before you're all of a sudden you're swimming and you're like, okay, I think I got this.
It's not so bad. Yeah. I'm doing it.
My body's adjusting to the temperature. I'm in flow. That's it. I'm surrendering. I'm loving it. And now I'm feeling good. And now the pool becomes the hot tub and you've got to keep like pulling yourself out of that like warm fuzzy hot tub too.
It's a great analogy, honestly. Like people can really relate to that. I don't really like cold pools.
No, me neither.
But somebody almost drowned and I jumped in to save them. It just goes to show you, right?
Wow. Amazing.
Courageous over being fearful.
Oh my goodness, for sure. Yeah.
So we're at the end of the show. So you know what I always ask, the favorite question for everybody. Yes. What is the takeaway for our viewers? Just a couple of points so that we can kind of really keep it nice and clear for them.
Yeah. So when you are dreaming big. Make it big, like make it huge. Like you have no clue. Like if somebody's saying, okay, I'm going to dream big. I'm going to dream to like lose 10 pounds. Like I know, and they know, they know what to do to lose that 10 pounds. Like they know what to do.
Of course.
So dream big. Like this is your opportunity. Like go for that new career. Go for, if you know, go for that new relationship. That's what you want. Go for that, you know, that business, something you've always dreamed about doing, that big move, whatever that is for you, dream big. Get clear on why you want it.
Clear?
Yes. Put it on repeat as much as you can. Feel it, visualize it. Yeah, take guided action towards that goal, and then make sure that you keep your vitality high. Take care of that physical body, because we are manifesting with every cell in our body, not just with our thoughts.
High vibes only.
High
I love
vibes
it. I love
only.
it. I love it. And on that note, thank you so much for being a part of the show again.
Thank
We
you so
love,
much.
love having you.
Thank you.
For your expertise, for teaching us how to be master manifestors of our lives. I'm super grateful. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that's all the time that we have for today. Please make sure to like, share, and to subscribe to our channel. And until next time,